Welcome to Collector's Quest, a place where hunters gather, a vital, interactive broadband TV network that aims to be home to 73 million collectors. That's 1 out of every 4 people you know. Collector's Quest is the premier destination for a growing interactive community that spends over $100 billion annually on their collection. Collector's Quest is the place to discover, meet, and communicate. Compelling original programming will bring you the hottest collectible categories, the latest trends, and the best events, while Collector's Quest Global Access makes it easy for you to showcase your collections and make offers to like-minded collectors. If you are looking for a specific affinity, a simple keyword or a click of the mouse allows a collector to enter category-specific silos. In these silos, the collector can read, watch, buy, connect, and inform in their own collectible community. Collector's Quest is a compelling viral experience that feeds consumer passion and fuels the marketplace. Become a part of the future of collecting. Collector's Quest, where hunters gather. What's in your collection?
My prized possession would probably be my near-mint Amazing Fantasy 15 first appearance of Spider-Man. Spider-Man's my favorite character.
Some of the first issues of Spider-Man, actually the first issue. Some people told me to put it on eBay, but I'm not really going to do that yet. I already wait for some more money.
This is a Jim Ballant design Catwoman. I got her almost 2 years ago at the Super Mega Show in Secaucus.
Yeah, I collect more of like hard to find, less mainstream, more people that are starting to come out where the comic is really good, but they're not being published by Marvel or some really big company.
Spider-Man, Wolverine, X-Men, everything.
I collect a little bit of memorabilia. I'm a huge Beatles fan, so I collect some Beatles memorabilia, signatures, signed albums.
There's the toys, there's the characters, there's the figures, there's the statues, there's the whistles.
We go out every weekend. That's what we do on the weekends.
We go look for toys.
My favorite figure, I think, is still from the first set. It's one called the Chrysalis Spinner. It's sort of a butterfly-like figure that's really beautiful.
My bedroom looks like a Star Wars convention. I got action figures, I got posters up on my walls.
We actually, between Danny and myself, have over, I'd say, 5,000 action figures with Transformers and DC, Marvel, pretty much. I collect action figures, he collects Transformers.
Comic book collection must literally run in the tens of thousands right now in terms of the amount of comics I own. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if I have over 50,000 comics right now.
My name is Vincent Zorzolo, and I'm the owner of Metropolis Collectibles. And Metropolis Collectibles is known for dealing in the very tough-to-find, rare, vintage, silver, golden age, and even bronze age material. So we've pretty much had it all. Action #1s, Detective 27s, first Superman's, first Batman. We have everything. This is a very rare copy of the first comic book made by Marvel Comics. Back in the day, it was called Timely. The thing that's interesting about this book is there were 2 editions made. What happened was this was Marvel, the Goodman's family, actually Goodman family's first foray into comic books, Marvel Comics #1. They made this comic book, they made 80,000 copies, and it sold out immediately. Now, this is one of the rare October copies. Very important. Most of the comic books you'll see are November copies. What happened was they sold out, so they said, let's go back and print a second run. They didn't have time to do a different cover, so what it is, they put a black circle around the October and wrote November underneath it and re-released it. They sold 800,000 of those in about a week, and they were in the comic book business. So for every 10 copies that are out there that are Novembers, there's 1 October. And this is the highest graded October copy. We sold this years ago to Nicolas Cage, and it is the highest graded copy that we've ever seen. And we're very proud to own this copy again. Right now, if somebody wanted to buy this from us, it would be approximately $100,000. When I first started out after college, people, whenever I'd say I buy and sell comic books for a living, they'd always ask me, oh, you can make a living doing that? And I haven't had that question asked to me in quite a number of years. it's become more obvious that this is a serious business, that there's money to be made here. There's people investing serious amounts of their discretionary income in comic books. You have people who like to read comic books and collect them, and that's great. That's beautiful. That's a very big part of our business. But then you have people who love comic books, but maybe are more into the investment aspects of it, and you see that has grown exponentially over the last 10 years.
Huge comic book collector, been a fan since I was able to walk. Basically learned how to read with them.
He got me into them like 3 years ago.
Yeah. I'm a Marvel zombie. Yeah. Anything with an X on it, Exiles, X-Men, Uncanny, Astonishing.
Well, my collection, I'm focused on the art. So anything with Jim Lee, J. Scott Campbell, Mike Turner, or Patrick Spaziante, I've got it all. Got it all. It's mine. I love to dress up. I can't really pull this on campus, so I mean, it's not quite the same as dressing up as like a pirate or something, a little different.
Yeah.
And I chose Phoenix because Wolverine is so hot, and you know, Phoenix and Wolverine is really how it's meant to be. Okay, we've got this is from Patrick and the guys at Archie Comics, and they were really nice to give it to me. And I also have, I can't open it.
I'll open it for you.
But Alex Sinclair gave me a drawing of the Hulk because he's a really great guy.
This is right there.
My favorite colorist, makes Jim Lee's stuff just glow. Terry McGinnis. Oh my God, yes. Nightwing. I named my computer Nightwing, so you know we gotta match. And then Michael Turner. Does anyone draw eyes better than Michael Turner?
I don't think so. Went over to a guy named Jamie Fay. He drew me a picture of my favorite X-Man Rogue. Didn't get to color it. I didn't have that much money to spend here. Let's see. And then I got to buy color print of all the X-Women. I love every single one of them. Runaways, my new favorite superhero comic, written by Brian K. Vaughan. Signed right by him, addressed to me. He's becoming my new favorite person outside of the X-Men universe.
WizKids was founded in 2000, and we invented the collectible miniatures game category. Nobody before had actually done a collectible miniatures game project. We started it with Mage Knight. And what we were trying to do was take a business idea, which was the miniatures game category, which was all metal miniatures that had to be painted, which took a long time to paint, a long time to set up, and a long time to play the games. And we wanted to break those barriers down because we knew that there were a lot of people out there that really enjoyed playing with 3D games, but didn't want to take that sort of time. Additionally, we also put all the stats in the bottom dial that has a window on it, and that allowed us to be able to have the character change over the course of the game due to the amount of damage that they were taking. So it's much more like a video game in the sense that if your character gets hit or they lose some of their armor, their stats change, right? Because you're clicking that dial down. And so it also allows us to actually take characters from people's IPs and reflect them more accurately than you would in another game. WizKids is a collectible game company. We are about creating products that have collectability. So we have limited print runs of our products. Things run out. In some cases, like Fin Fang Foom, which is our big exclusive convention piece for the year, we've only made a certain amount at the beginning of the year, and that's it. When they run out at the conventions, it's done. And so there is a sense of urgency in the sense that we create really high-end pieces of sculpture for the large miniatures, for the small miniatures. There's a limited supply, so it's a first-come, first-served basis. And when we run out of Fin Fang Foom, we're done. WizKids is very excited to be here this year because we're able to show the crowds here at New York Comic Con that we have everything for them.
My name is Kat Starr. I'm a member of New York Jedi, and we are a lightsaber enthusiast collective, and we're here at the New York Comic Con today to perform. We try to get together every week, sometimes twice a week. We hold classes, we have regular get-togethers where we just do some sparring, some dueling. This is a saber made by Advanced Light Weaponry, our sponsors, and they make custom sabers. The lightsaber is an elegant weapon, it's got pizzazz, it's really exciting. We've got Jedi and Sith, we also have Grey Jedi, we also have Jedi Bounty Hunters. We have many philosophical discussion on the forums about what the nature of the light side or the dark side is, what the nature of being a Jedi is or being a Sith, but mostly it comes down to what your costume preferences are. I am a Grey Jedi. A Grey Jedi is one who believes in the light side but doesn't believe in shunning the dark side.
You need to get one of these. Overstreet Comic Book Price Guide. Good start. Indispensable. has mistakes like any type of research, but it is the single best research material available on the hobby. You need a copy of this. You don't need to have a new one necessarily. If you can find it, if you're just getting started, just find an old used one and read it. You have to. Next step, I would say, is to find a reputable store or a reputable dealer. And by that I mean a guy that will sell to you and also buy back and will stand behind their material. And let him guide you. If it's mail order only, then maybe buy something that's not too expensive and see if you agree with the grading, if you like what you're getting. You don't want to make a mistake on a $3,000 comic book, especially if it's a guy who won't stand behind it and won't take it back. But $10 comic and $3 mailing fee, that's the cost, that's the price of an education.
There's collecting and there's reading. And I think readers are collectors as well, but nobody's buying a $3,000 Spider-Man to read it. You can read it in reprint form, 100 different places. My first comic as a collector was Alpha Flight number 4 from the original incarnation. Personally, I collect Bugs Bunny stuff as well as the comics, and I have a Looney Tunes number 1, which is a fairly rare book from the 40s. It's probably about a $4,000 or $5,000 copy at this point, so.
But the first one I remember was at my cousin's house, finding in the basement an issue of DC's Brave and the Bold with Viking Prince.
Well, I've been reading comic books pretty much since I could read, which is just last year. So that's most of my, since I was a kid, I've been reading comic books. About 5, 6 years old probably, and I've been collecting for 15 years.
Stan Lee. I was like, that's like my hero. I've been like reading comics since I was like 3.
I like to read like the Archie's comics and some Sabrina comics too.
I would take my 2 dimes up to the grocery store, which at the time was the size of a 7-Eleven. It was a grocery store then. And I'd buy my 2 packs of Davy Crockett cards.
Every month when we knew the comic books were coming out, we were at that drugstore waiting for them to, unpack them.
We've got some diehard Spawn fans out there. That's how I started out with this company as a fan and then got into the company.
Because I've always collected comics from every part of the world to try and understand how that ethos and that kind of worldview changes, because oftentimes I think comics speak to this kind of collective consciousness of their society.
I was a big X-Men fan, actually, specifically Excalibur. So I went through a phase of trying to kind of pick up all of the old Claremont issues, things like that.
The first comic I remember reading completely and being enthralled by was Daredevil 168 by Frank Miller, with the first appearance of Elektra. So it changed my childhood,
I was flipping through Wizard one day and I found this book, they were doing an article about it called Runaways, about kids who run away from home because their parents are supervillains and they fight them. And I thought it sounded like it could be either terrible or amazing. Thanks to this book, I just got completely drawn in, and now here I am, letting my geek flag fly.
What's really cool this year is we have a new umbrella brand called DC Unlimited, and we're really excited to be presenting figures from the World of Warcraft game. Especially this Blood Elf behind me over here is from the new Burning Crusade launch, which just came out to rave reviews. Afro Sam is the other feature property we're presenting for DC Unlimited. Samuel Jackson's doing the voices for some of the characters. That's on Spike TV. It's getting some rave reviews so far. Fans of Warcraft will be really interested to know that the armor sets on all these characters are really maxed out if you're playing the game. You've got to be at least level 60 before you start even seeing anything like this Destroyer armor on the dwarf over here. This is another interesting new push for DC Direct. These are the Amikami girls. We're taking our traditional superheroines, like Supergirl, Power Girl, Batgirl, and reinterpreting them in the anime style that's so popular out in the market right now. The 1/6 scale figures that DC's doing are one of our best-selling lines of toys. They're all really hyper-articulated, which a lot of our stuff isn't. They're bigger figures. They have a unique body structure that goes, it's used for all of them, but we built it ourselves. Really proud of the stuff that these figures can do. They're all hyper-detailed. Their clothing's really beautifully done, and they sell out pretty much as fast as we can make them. Batgirl that's in the case, she has a blue and gray costume. There'll be a variant of her in her black costume, which she also appeared in. Some of the lines we're really excited about at DC Direct this year, we have the Adam and Andy Kubert, are two of our top-selling illustrators. We have back-to-back toy lines. One Brothers line's coming out right after the next. That's pretty exciting for us. We've got the Andy Kubert Batman line in there, which is one of the art staff's new favorite Batmans that we're doing. And Adam's Superman line there, which came out great. There's a really cool-looking Bizarro with the design that he did just for the comic book. There's a Superman Doomsday line in there, which is in scale with the Justice League Unlimited figures that are out in the market. A lot of people are collecting, and our stuff's right in line with those scale-wise, but I think the fans will be really happy about that. We have a brand new line that is premiering at this show. Is a new Alex Ross assortment of Justice, which has Aquaman, Jon Stewart Green Lantern, the Superman in armor, and Gorilla Grodd that's out there. And that's actually premiering at this show, so that's pretty exciting.
I love it. Comic-Con is awesome.
Why Wonder Woman?
Because I have the red boots and she's probably the best female superhero there is.
That's the best part of Comic-Con for me, is to see the reaction she gets, because I'm here for the collectibles, she's here for the pictures.
Whoa! Can I take a picture with you?
We want to take a picture with you.
Could you take our picture with me?
Yes.
Oh, you are so cute, Spider-Man.
So Batman and Superman were the first superheroes I was supposed to, then Spider-Man, because people always told me, oh, you look like Peter Parker. I don't see it.
Perfect. Awesome.
Oh, Spider-Man, you are so cool. Do you want a medal?
Oh, totally. Wow, Wonder Woman's gonna get a medal.
Awesome.
And what about action figures? You like them?
Yes, Marvel Legends, DC Direct, WWE Jax, wrestling figures.
How many do you have?
At this point, well over 1,000. Yeah, most of them are still in box, not in the package, because I play with them. I'm gonna admit it, I play with them. But yeah, most of them are in big plastic tubs until we finally get a house where I can just flood the whole house with action figures.
Marvel, we have some great licenses. We have Total Nonstop Action Wrestling figures, which you can see displayed behind me. These action figures are super articulated, super detailed, great likenesses capturing the essence of the wrestlers. And we've got some fine collectible 12-inch figures behind me with these super detailed fabric outfits where the knee pads are padded. They come with championship belts that are die-cast, that are just high quality, great collectible action figures.
Yeah! What's new and hot really at Marvel is, well, we just finished the biggest event that we've done in maybe the last 20 years, maybe the biggest event in comics in the last 20 years, called Civil War, Marvel Civil War. And most recently coming up in the Marvel Universe, we have a story called World War Hulk, which involves the Hulk fighting the entirety of the Marvel Universe, and which will be followed shortly after by a very important, probably one of the most important Spider-Man stories in the history of Spider-Man, called Spider-Man One More Day, which will change Spider-Man in significant ways that are going to be very radical, controversial. You have it, but everyone will have an opinion about it one way or another. We can also add on top of that the release of Stephen King's Dark Tower book, which was not just an event for us at Marvel, but for the whole comics industry with respect to saturation into the mainstream audience. We have new readers coming in from all over the world to pick up this particular series. There is some adaptive material, and there's also some brand new material, and Dark Tower fans are ravenous for this stuff. They can't get enough, so they're just coming to comic shops and bookstores, and they're picking up the Dark Tower.
This year, the big news on March 24th, we are launching our Spider-Man 3, entire Spider-Man 3 collection. So it's Web Slinger Weekend, March 24th. And we're going to be introducing our whole new line of action figures, role-play items, and also a preschool line for Spider-Man and Friends. This movie is going to be huge because for the first time they have 3 villains. So we are obviously going to have action figures to depict all of those villains and a whole new line of Spider-Man figures as well. A lot of collectors collect different ways. Some like to take them out of the package and create almost like a diorama, so sort of like a display like what you might see here. Other collectors like to buy 2 of them, one where they take out of the pack and they might display them, and one where they keep them in the pack. Obviously keeping them in pack helps preserve the value because you're buying them exactly how they are. So it's really up to the individual how they like to collect. Well, I think each collection is significant with a certain time period. Like for example, with the Spider-Man 3 movie, all of the figures kind of freeze you at a moment in time. So the figures depict exactly what the characters look like in the movies. Like with Venom, it was a huge secret because if we revealed the toy, then everyone would know what Venom was going to look like in the movie. So I think really the figures just sort of almost act as sort of like a time capsule for that exact moment, that period, and whatever they're really reflecting, whether it's a movie or whether it's a comic book. So they are significant.
I have about 300 comic and manga. I'm also in Prince Valiant, that's done by Gary Gianni. So I'm like I'm not the hero, because obviously Prince Valiant, but I'm like the heroine in it, helping him. You know, people think I'm weird, so okay.
And do you feel weird here at Comic-Con?
No, I feel like I'm at home. So I actually go through withdrawal after conventions. Buying lots of manga and comic books and seeing what new artists are out here.
Tokyo Pop is one of the largest manga publishers in the United States. We do a combination of translated material from Japan and Korea, and recently we started doing a lot of original material with American artists and writers as well in the Asian comic style. Tokyo Pop's hottest title at the moment is a title called Fruits Basket, which it's a girls comic from Japan. The premise is that there's a family of people who turn into their zodiac animal when you hug them. Believe it or not, this is a remarkably compelling, very character-driven, emotionally powerful story, which is what's so great about manga, is that you have these fantastic premises and these absurd setups and this very real sense of emotion, this very real sense of story and of who these characters are, and they're very relatable and fun and friendly. So that's been a huge hit with teen girls just all across the country, and big success for us. One of the big things we have right now is Kingdom Hearts, actually. We're doing a Kingdom Hearts manga adapted from the video game, and clearly that's a huge franchise. We have a box set of the Kingdom Hearts books out now. We're starting up with Kingdom Hearts 2 this coming summer, and we expect that to be huge. It's something that's just really different from what you're getting in mainstream American comics. Many of these titles are creator-driven and they're very female-friendly. So, I mean, there's a huge audience for these in Japan of girl readers. And there's women who are creating these titles and they know what their audience is because that's who they used to be. And it was them 10 years ago, and they get to write for little girls who are like them. And it's clear that that's definitely striking a chord with our readership. Our readership is primarily teenage girls.
Dolphies, super dolphies, they're Asian ball jointed dolls. It means they're ball jointed, like they have jointed ball joints. This one's mine. And
Does she have a name?
yeah, her name is Akari, but I just call her Ari for short. She's from Lutz, which is the company. It's Korean, and her brand is a leash, and it's the twin to this one. He's an L, and this is my friend's Janice. And they're lots of money. Ari was like 600. She's just one of a kind. They're made out of polyurethane resin, and they're hand casted. So that's why they're so much money. And like, there's not another one that looks like her, you know?
They're really
each
special. You make them
different.
your own, even though they're the same like model and the same make from the same company. I mean, like sometimes you wouldn't even be able to tell that it's the same like doll because you put the same different hair, different clothes, different like makeup on their face.
You can just tell, like even if you look online, you're like, oh,
down
I know what doll that is.
Down to the eyebrows.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
like I
face
asked
makeup, it's all
specifically for her eyebrows to go like up and like arc, you know?
So when you get the doll, it means like something different, a little bit different to every person. And you know, doll's part of our family. Doll can be your friend. Doll can be your character that you use in a story. It's up to your imagination. That's like the only limit to a doll. That's why it's really special, and it's always different for each person.
He's comforting, you know, if you're having a hard time. It's nice to have him around.
Kind of turning the ship a little bit more into this, what we call character figures. It's kind of a cross between an action figure and a doll. I came to New York to do fashion illustration, and while I was doing that, I started sculpting as a hobby, and I did really representational things, and it kind of turned into dolls, and somebody said, you ought to make dolls. So a company hired me, I made a couple of dolls for them. They did well, and after 18 years in the garment center, that was enough. I said, I'm one out, and I tried a doll on my own for my own company, and it worked. It sold, so that was kind of the start of the whole thing. We're doing the Pirates of the Caribbean, and it's a Johnny Depp likeness, but we're also doing Keira Knightley. And it goes for the guys the guys and women who like to just have a figure that represents the movie, and then it also appeals to our fashion doll people who will get the Keira Knightley doll. They don't care who it is; it's just a pretty doll, so they'll dress it and do things with it. So, also Harry Potter was another company changer. He kind of helped me steer this ship the other way. So, there's really nothing out there like that. I think it's like this hybrid between a doll and an action figure.
My name's Ellen, and right now I'm in the final minutes of a contest to win a big prize for the movie 23. They gave me this 23 camera, this 23 trench coat. I've got to take pictures of the number 23 everywhere, and I'm trying to get 23 people to help me out right now and make the number 23. Hi, everybody.
You got the 23?
My name's Ellen. Thank you so much for helping me out.
You're up there.
I need to make the number 2, and I need to make the number 3, okay? That's my 3. You guys look so good. Thank you so much. 1, 2, 3. Fantastic. Thank you. So I'm trying to decide which one actually looks like the number 2, 3. And actually, that one's probably pretty close. How you doing? Thank you so much.
Good to see.
Actually,
Like
that
to
one's
see.
good. Oh yeah, you should totally get to see. I haven't decided which one I'm going to use yet.
Okay.
So you can vote for me. You can help me win. That's probably the weirdest picture just because it's such a strange thing. Yeah. Sorry, honey. So, I was, debating on a strategy for this thing, and I was like, well, I could do like manipulation on all the Polaroids. I could do pictures of just the characters around Comic-Con, because that was really a fun excuse to just talk to people. I started out with this sort of abstract stuff, pulling 23s out of dumb things. And then I decided I'm going to make a story. So now I have a story, and I have my last Polaroid of 23. So
good luck.
Thank you so much. It would be crazy if I won, but I'd be happy because $2,300 is nothing to sneeze at. I'm really hoping my chances are great. I hope this puts me over the top. I hope everybody votes for me, and I would love to win the 23 contest. So I gotta go. I gotta go.
It's what we call Sirocco-style statuettes. It's a kind of collectible that was from the 1930s and 1940s, which took the then new kind of early version of polyresin and mixed it literally with sawdust. Think like a cigar store Indian. They made all sorts of figurines and wall plaques and stuff like that, including some fairly famous series based on King Features newspaper characters. And so we came up with a kind of deliberately primitive but sort of charming approach to these statuettes, where you can see the visible seam lines, and they're purposely a little crudely sculpted and a little crudely painted. We came up with some unique packaging, which is a litho-printed tin box with a booklet about the character and a pin-back button that kind of looks like a 30s item. And we started doing these with a series based on old newspaper strip characters called Classic Comic Characters. And then we currently have 2 series coming out that we're very proud of. One is a kind of collaboration with our friends at DC Comics, where we're able to do some of their great characters, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, and The Flash. And we're also doing a series of 10 of these Sirocco-style statuettes of Charles Schulz's Peanuts characters. They're very limited numbered editions. They generally sell out on publication and create their own value in the secondary market. We're the only company doing this kind of collectible, and we're really proud of them. And I should mention that they've all been sculpted by our great friends and collaborators at Yo Studios, which is a gentleman by the name of Craig Yo, who not only is a comics historian and really understands these characters, but is also one of the country's leading creative talents and has been able to really capture the look of them in a very appealing way. What they're moving into now, which we find is very unique, is some original material. Not content to just do things derived from the movies, they've actually started to create their own fabulous original products, the first of which are a series of fantasy ray guns that purport to be of a Victorian era, but they're a kind of the equipment of an intergalactic adventurer who calls himself a naturalist named Dr. Grodbort. And these are his guns, and we're going to bring them forward as a very deluxe, expensive, limited edition collectible. Only 500 of each will be produced for worldwide distribution. And then later this year, you'll see some new Mike Mignola Hellboy comics and graphic novels from Dark Horse, which we're all eagerly awaiting.
Well, I'm a big fan since 1975. I saw the actual film in Spain. As you can tell, because of the language barrier, I wasn't able to understand what they were about. All I saw was the visuals, and that impressed me. That's when I wanted to be an action figure. I always wanted to be a stormtrooper.
Why did you want to be a stormtrooper?
Basically, it's very simple, but the very powerful image on screen.
Tell me about your outfit. Where'd you get it?
Oh, this is something that we have to design ourselves. I mean, you go to Home Depot, you do a lot of modifications, you buy Velcro, you know, sandpaper, you meet other fans who are also the same passion, and eventually you get together, you share ideas, and from there, it's just, you know, time and dedication.
What about when you first met your partner here? Did you know he was a Star Wars fan?
Yes, I did. We've actually known each other before we got together. We've been friends about like 8-10 years.
Now, when he was spending all that money, did you understand it?
Totally. I was getting jealous because he was doing it for himself, and then I'm like, hello, I need one too. I love seeing the kids smile, and you know, they just want to take pictures with you.
Now tell me about your collection, your Star Wars collection at home. How big is it?
In pieces, I would have to say I have about 25 different items.
45?
45.
And how much do you think you spent on those?
Again, I would have to say about $45,000.
$45,000?
Different times within the last 10 years.
And since you met your wife, has that cost gone up or down?
Unfortunately, thank God that she has the love of Star Wars. So I get to buy 2 items a year instead of 5. She is the financial advisor.
Do you guys sell any stuff?
No.
No, you keep it all?
Yes.
We're tapping into a whole new vault with India and giving a chance for new Indian creators and writers to tap into the mythic vault of the Indian market and bring that content out to the world for the first time. The second thing that we're doing, a second line that we have, is called the Virgin Comics Director's Cut line, where we work with filmmakers from around the world, people like John Woo, Guy Ritchie, where we create comics with them completely from scratch, and you know, obviously, as the next stage, work with them to turn those comics into film. So we just launched a project with John Woo called 7 Brothers, where we brought in the amazing comic book writer Garth Ennis to work side by side with John to get that thing going. We're launching another project coming up soon called Guy Ritchie's Gamekeeper, which is going to be launched very exciting with him and the writer Andy Diggle coming out in March. And you know, we have another line, we have another project in essentially that line called Enigma, which is created by Nicolas Cage with his son Wes Cage, and is actually going to be written by, again, comic book superstars as we get that thing going out there. We've done a strategic new partnership with NBC Universal and the Sci-Fi Channel to form Sci-Fi Virgin Comics. There's going to be a whole new company that's focused, just like we've seen for years, comics based on television shows. This is reversing that funnel, where we're going to actually create new comics with the Sci-Fi team to turn into television shows. So the fun of it is focusing in on science fiction and finding a way to make that science fiction exciting and relevant for new television, video game, and movie viewers around the world.
Well, the car started out as a fun thing. I'm an airbrush artist, and you get tired of doing skulls and flames, and I'm a comic book nut, And the best of two worlds. What better way to do it? Put the history of comics, like you just walk around it and see just about every comic that ever existed from 1896 till now. I got the idea in the beginning of 2004, in which I wanted to find a vehicle that would suit this medium. And this is a 1928 Model A Roadster pickup. This is one of the first Model A's to be manufactured. And since it's restored originally, which I had to restore it also, the only thing I changed was the paint. And I get away with that because it's a commercial vehicle. They put Coca-Cola on the side, so it's true to the car without really hurting it. And that's the original Model A engine, 24.3 horsepower. You notice the wires are strips of copper. It's a 6-volt system. Everywhere on here I have the smiley faces on all the nuts and bolts, which everybody likes. And I have one that's not smiling. When I first finished, I had two real big worries. My first worry was at Hershey, Pennsylvania, where the antique car collectors come. And I was sponsored by Mark Magazine in their tent, and these are the hard-nosed Model A collectors. And I'm thinking, oh no, they're gonna say I ruined a perfectly good car. Not one. People came from Sweden, all over the world looking at it, and they just loved it. And then my next test was, believe it or not, here. And although the bed wasn't finished yet on the interior, I said, well, let's see how the comic book guys like it. And to my surprise, a lot of them came over and said, hey, you did my comic justice. You did it nice. I have a guy from Archie Comics, does Jughead and Archie. He's coming over later, and he's going to do a tag for the back for the truck. And some of the newer artists I let draw on the truck. And I say, hey, would you like a piece of this? And he goes, how much is it going to cost me? I says, no, this is between artists. This is, this truck goes around, gets a lot of press, goes to a lot of conventions, a lot of people see it. If I can help you, which is kind of nice. That's what artists do. That's who we are. So I'm opening it up and sharing it with other guys. I didn't even think of the hours I spent restoring the vehicle and getting it running. It's all original for 1928. Then the research came. I really didn't take time to catalog and time all the research. It was just too much. The painting and drawing part, every time I went and worked on it, that I did do. I have over 2,500 hours in it. When it was on a Barrett Jackson show, they estimated the car's worth over $250,000 if somebody wanted to reproduce it again. Like Coco the Clown is here. This is Ignatz. Then I fool around like having a Albert Einstein on there. The 101 Dalmatians that you see on there, they asked me, is there 101? I guarantee it. On the dash, I have the Starship Voyager. I'm a Trekkie also. I have, that's the Voyager on here. And in the back, I have the biggest cartoon character, was Wolverine, the biggest. So I guess those, and Ratfink on the front from Big Daddy Roth, I guess those are my favorites. It starts out just with a lot of drawings, because what happens is I have to be really true to the comic. Someone's gonna come along, that's their favorite, that's the only one they're looking for, and that's the one they wanna see. And you better be on the money, like, hey, you messed up my character. So I have many, many pictures from all sources, from the internet. I buy old books, whatever I can get the comic, and then I look which one represent that character the best, and very carefully executed on here. The car was primed white with epoxy paint, then it's painted white with a base coat, and then clear coated. After it's clear coated, it's sanded down, and then I do the pencil sketch. And then I mask every single color you see on here has to be masked off so you don't get overspray on another comic. So it's other guys who do airbrush look at me and they say I'm nuts. And then the comic book guys look at me and say I'm nuts. But it's a happy nuts, It's beyond me now. It became bigger than me.
We manufacture entertainment trading cards, and we basically, our niche are the niche products that the fans like, and we go everywhere from The Sopranos to The Simpsons. The hottest products like Lost to new emerging products like Jericho, and then we do a lot of the big event movies like a Shrek 3 or this year's Golden Compass. The hottest property out there right now, and quite frankly in the last 11 years, 12 years now, is Naruto. Naruto is a Japanese anime product, also in manga, and the cards the mass can't even keep them in stock. Anyway, I mean, it's a godsend. We make, without being rude, we make really good-looking cards that the kids want to collect. It's not only got a great image and a little story on the back of why of each card, but we do it in foils, we do it in chrome-like substances, and the whole base set is like foiled, and they're good-looking cards. Buffy is so popular. We've done 16 series of cards or collections in the last 10 years of Buffy. I had a crazy idea that in the last set of Lost, I wanted a card with sand on it from the beach. And I wanted one of their actors to pose digging the sand for me so our fans would know we didn't go to Home Depot and buy sand. The ones that I like are when we work with Jennifer Gardner. And we got a hat that she wore in season 1, which was basically the kind that just holds down your hair with little baubles on them. We cut it up and we embedded those in the trading cards. And mind you, they're just trading cards, but they've been sold on eBay for as high as $700. That's neat. Is it my favorite? No, I like them all.
Bandai's collectible games division, their best property right now is Naruto. So Naruto CCG has just released their Series 4 set. It's called Revenge and Rebirth. So there's a couple of cards that look like they're going to be really good for the tournament play. So it's one of our hottest sets. We have a card rarity, so there are certain cards when you buy a pack, you'll get more copies of some cards than others. After that, it depends how good the card is in the game. Sometimes certain card could be good for a certain deck, so it has some value to it to those people. Sometimes you make a card that is good for any deck. That makes it more valuable because anybody playing any strategy might want to use that card. In the packaging, you could get sometimes a foil version of it. It's a prettier version of the regular card. So those are collectible because they're one in a pack. There are collectible cards where you have to actually go and play somewhere to get it. I think for Naruto, they did a version that they gave away at E3. I think that was really the rarest card, I think, actually, are the E3 promo cards that were given away. For the collectible card game, we sell theme decks. So those are kind of ready to play out of the box decks. A booster pack, you only get 10 cards, so you're gonna have to buy at least 4 packs to build a deck, but it's not necessarily that playable. So the theme decks are just playable right out of the box.
Well, one Christmas, Mom got me some comic books. She just put them in my stocking for stuff it, and I just liked them. So I used to go to the little convenience store right down the block, pick them up, and then now I just go to the comic store, work there. So pick up as much as I can.
I've been collecting comic books since I was about 6 years old. My mother actually got me into it because she was a big fan of Superman and Batman. Used to go to the playground and draw 6-foot caricatures in the sand at the playground of Batman and Superman. People used to think she was weird for that.
They think it's weird, kind of nerdy. They wish that I would get out more, but I do get out more. Look, I'm here with thousands and thousands of people. But yeah, they support it. They say, you know what? As long as you've got a job and you can pay the bills to buy them, and you're not using our money, it's okay.
I am the ultimate comic geek in my home community. I even top some of the really old schoolers in some areas.
I have loved comic books even before I could read. When I was a little kid, my older brothers had comic books, and I would sit and look at them all through the summer when I wasn't in preschool or whatever, and just all the time. I loved comic books, and as I got older and learned how to read, and I would start reading and collecting, I had to scrape through my parents' couch for quarters and pennies and nickels and dimes, and I'd run to the local candy store and I'd buy comic books.
It's a classic story. Clean your room, clean your room. I'm getting tired of it. Came home on the bus, they're in the burn barrel back by the lake. Poof, all burnt. Should have cleaned my room.
Well, it's my first comic convention in New York, and I just kind of wanted to see what it was like, and it's always a good chance to dress up. And yeah, I've been in Florida and in Seattle and California, so Los Angeles and San Francisco and San Diego, and also in Japan. I make costumes for a living and for my major, so over 200. I wear them, well, I guess if there's an event like a convention or a party, going out to clubs or something like that. I kind of relate to Mila Jovovich's character in different movies, and also kind of, we have the same cultural roots. We're both from Eastern Europe and kind of resemble each other a little bit in the facial structure. So, big bada boom! I collect Japanese kimono. I have about 15 right now, and also, well, I consider my costumes a collection. And also I collect Japanese tea ceremony goods. It feels good when people come up and want to take pictures, or they say, oh my God, I can't show this picture to my wife, something like that.
Our newest game that just came out last August is Dream Blade. It's a collectible miniatures game, and it revolves around miniatures that play on a board fairly similar to chess. So we like to say it's sort of like chess with different figures. So you can substitute in and out to change the gameplay, to change the strategy, and that comes out with a new release every few months. And our latest release just came out in January. It's called Chrysodic Plague, and it focuses on a certain species of almost bug-like creatures. They come out of the dreamscape, which is this imaginary world in which the game exists. So it's a very competitive game, much like chess. It's something where you really want to test your skills against somebody else. And you want to collect the best pieces so that you can really outcompete your friend or someone at your neighboring store. And so we have set up this great tournament structure behind it, which includes local tournaments, all the way down from a friendly store tournament to a $10,000 tournament every month. And then we also have an annual championship. Last year was a $20,000 championship at Gen Con. And this year at Gen Con again, it will be a $50,000 tournament. There are also really great little items to collect and to see all the different variety they can have. Some of them are really scary and some are really pretty, and it's just a great range. From the first set that we put out, we had a really great rare called the Scarab War Charm, and it's just a little figure, but it's very attractive and it has great gameplay abilities. So people want to have more than one in their set. They want to have 2 or 3 or 4, and so it really kind of drove up the price on eBay and made it a really collectible item.
This show is a show for collecting. I mean, this is crazy. I've been trying to keep my wallet in my pocket the entire show. The Star Wars battleships are really popular. I've got more questions about these than just about anything else we make, and I'm impressed, and this is just our first release. I mean, we've got how many more releases behind this, to fill out the fleets. Of course, everybody wants the Millennium Falcon. That's the chaser right there, but our D&D minis is it's growing every year. There's a skirmish game. There's 2 kinds of players. There's players that play the skirmish game, and then there's players that play the role-playing game, and that's been by far the most popular. You collect them because you can actually use it in a game. So you're like, yeah, this is a rare, and I can do X with it, but I can, it's a rare and it's worth $25 on eBay, yada yada. Who cares? But I can actually use this in my mini skirmish game, and he's super powerful. And there's no way I'm going to sell. This is my winner. I mean, I think that's the key to the game. D&D has no limits. I mean, we continue to come out with more rule books, more options on the game, and we just came out with Complete Scoundrel the other month, and it's it's more rules and more things, more feats to do with rogues, and we continue to grow the game.
I've got my eye on Kit Fisto because gotta have a few more Jedi in my own shelf-top legion, as it were. Mostly lightsabers. Have a few of the other weapons as well, but mostly lightsabers. A little bit more of a rarer piece. It's a Larbel saber, which was custom crafted by a gentleman back when the episode 1 came out, and I got it from a collector friend and former high school chum who was paring down his collection. It basically led me to do this particular costume too, and I love it.
What does that go for?
It cost me $300, but it's valued at probably 4 times that. So I make sure it's strapped firmly to the hip.
Steve Jeppe founded Diamond Comic Distributors, and it's the world's largest distributor of comics and comic-related merchandise. And for Steve, it was just the culmination of a passion he's had his whole life. He's a collector, comic book fan, pop culture aficionado, And Steve's big dream for probably a good 30 years or so was to create a museum, not only to house his collection, but to bring it to the public and to basically tell the story of what we've seen for the last couple centuries in American pop culture. Everybody's going to find their childhood in the museum. You're going to hit one era or one character that's someone you connected with. And as Steve himself says in the intro that you see when you go into the museum, we encourage people to go, hey, I had that when I was a kid. And that's a recurring mantra throughout the place.
When you were only 6, you did Lady and the Tramp,
right.
Card,
That's right.
for a friend, and he did that whole thing with the spaghetti going back and forth. And nobody believed he actually did it himself. But it's true. So he's always.
But you don't remember? It was a pop-up.
That's what I said.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Since he was little bitty, he used to draw on my walls. You know, I said, you don't draw on my wall. Wait a minute, there's a piece of paper up here.
I started as a high school intern at Marvel Comics, and I was doing. I was an assistant to a couple of cartoonists, Joe Rubenstein and Vince Coletta, and Andy Muschinsky, and. I know I'll forget somebody. When you have children and you're a cartoonist, your office is the coolest room in the house. It's a room full of comic books and crayons, and you can't keep them out of there, you know. So they want to help Dad, so they draw on your stuff, and so I had to get an office. So, you know, I like the funny cartoons and I like the scary cartoons. I wasn't a big superhero fan. I really liked Tales from the Crypt. When I was her age, I read all the tales from. I had hardcover of the old '50s books, and I was a big Donald Duck fan. And like I said, I mostly liked the newspapers.
If there's one thing I'd like to own personally, I think I'd like to have an Amazing Fantasy 15. That's the one thing, because Spider-Man's my number one guy, so I'd have to.
Avengers Annual number 10, the first appearance of Rogue, my favorite X-Man ever.
There's one issue where little Lulu smokes her dad's pipe and she puts her doll hair. She cuts the doll's hair off and she smokes the doll hair. And she gets stoned and she's like on psychedelic trip and she's tripping out. And this is in the 1950s. I'm looking at this going, wow. And I remember selling that book and going, I wish I had that back.
X-Men 1. I don't have it because I want the original when there were only 5 of them and they had the yellow and black suits, but I've never seen it.
It tends not to be looking for one figure, but rather looking to see what's new that somebody's done, because people are coming out with stuff all the time.
Something autographed by Jim Lee, yes.
One of the things that was a holy grail for me was a Swamp Thing number 1, Bernie Wrightson.
I would like to find a variant John Cassidy cover for Astonishing X-Men number 13. They were selling them here last year, but I think they're all gone.
The Hicks figure with the shotgun, because that was I believe a McFarlane Fan Club exclusive. I don't have that one in my Alien and Predator collection, so I'd love to have that.
What I'm looking for would be more room in my house so I could really display what I have, because unfortunately I've limited space and I can't display what I have, which kind of limits me picking up anything new because I've got boxes and boxes of toys in my basement that I can't display and I can't add on anymore because I've run out of space. So what I would want would be a great show space to be able to look at and enjoy my collection.